If you're 30, 40, 50, and you feel trapped, I need you to hear this. I spent 40 years following a script I didn't write. I'm 86 years old, and when people ask me about my life, I tell them the truth. I've lived two completely different lives. The first one ended the day I turned 40. The second one started the day after. And if I'm being honest, the first 40 years feel like they belong to someone else. Like I was watching myself from a distance, going through the motions, playing a part I never auditioned for. I was born in 1939, grew up in Ohio, small town, the kind where everyone went to the same church and shopped at the same store. My father worked at the grain elevator. My mother took in sewing. I was the middle child. 2 brothers, one older, one younger. I learned early that you didn't make waves. You did what was expected. You didn't ask questions. When I was 19, I married a girl named Helen. We'd known each other since high school. She was quiet, pretty. Her father owned the pharmacy. Everyone said we made a good match. So we got married in the spring of 1958. Her mother planned everything. I just showed up and said the words. We moved into a little house 2 streets over from where I grew up. I got a job at the insurance company downtown. Started as a clerk, worked my way up to adjuster. I wore the same gray suit 5 days a week, drove the same route every morning, parked in the same spot. Helen kept the house, cooked dinner, joined the garden club. We had a son in 1960, named him Robert after my father. Then a daughter in 1962, Patricia, and from the outside, everything looked fine. I had a job, a wife, 2 kids, a house with a front porch and a decent lawn, but I felt like I was suffocating. Every single day, I'd wake up at 6:15, same time, every morning, shower, shave, get dressed. Helen would have coffee ready, toast, sometimes eggs. The kids would be at the table, Robert in his school clothes, Patricia in her high chair. And I'd sit there eating toast, staring at the wallpaper, thinking, is this it? Is this all there is? But I never said it out loud, because you didn't. You were grateful, you worked hard, you provided. That's what men did. I'd get to the office by 8, sit at my desk, process claims, type reports. Lunch was a sandwich from home, ate it at my desk. Back to work until 5. Then home, dinner at 6, always at 6. Helen would ask about my day. I'd say it was fine. She'd tell me about the kids, about something that needed fixing, about plans for the weekend. I'd nod, half listening. After dinner, I'd sit in the living room, read the paper, watch whatever was on television. The kids would play. Helen would clean up, and I'd sit there feeling this weight in my chest, like I was buried alive. But I told myself it was normal, that everyone felt this way, that this was just what life was. You got married, you had kids, you worked, and whatever dreams you had when you were young, you put them away. Because that's what responsible people did. I wanted to travel, always had. When I was a kid, I'd read National Geographic at the library, stare at pictures of mountains and oceans and places I couldn't pronounce. I wanted to see them, all of them. But Helen didn't like traveling. She got nervous in unfamiliar places, so we stayed home. Every vacation was the same. We'd drive 3 hours to her parents' lake house, spend a week there, drive home. I wanted to learn to paint. Took a class once in high school. The teacher said I had an eye for it, but there was no time for hobbies and no money for supplies, so I stopped. I wanted to have conversations that mattered, about ideas, about the world. But Helen wanted to talk about the neighbors, about what Patricia said at school, about whether we should replace the curtains. And I know that wasn't her fault. She was doing exactly what she'd been taught to do, just like I was. We were both following a script we didn't write, but that didn't make it easier. The years kept passing. Robert grew up, went to college, got a job at a bank. Patricia got married young, moved 2 towns over, and then it was just me and Helen again. By then we barely talked at all. We'd sit at dinner in complete silence. Nothing left to say. We slept in the same bed but didn't touch. I'd lie there at night, staring at the ceiling, counting down the years until retirement, thinking, maybe then, maybe when I retire, I'll finally feel alive. But I knew that was a lie, because I wasn't living. I was just waiting to die. And then I turned 40, January 14th, 1979. Helen made a cake. The kids came over for dinner. Everyone sang. I blew out the candles. And later that night, after everyone left, I sat alone in the kitchen. The house was quiet. Helen had gone to bed. I looked around at the same walls I'd been staring at for 20 years. The same refrigerator, the same table, the same life, and something inside me just broke. Not in a loud way, not dramatic. Just this quiet realization that if I didn't change something, I was going to die without ever really living. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there thinking about all the years I'd lost, all the things I'd wanted to do and never did, all the conversations I'd never had, all the places I'd never seen, and I realized I had a choice. I could keep going, keep pretending, keep waiting for someday, or I could stop. So I stopped. The next morning, I told Helen I wanted a divorce. She didn't cry. She just looked at me like she'd been expecting it. Maybe she had been. Maybe she'd felt the same weight I had. We didn't fight about it, didn't drag it out. We sold the house, split everything down the middle. The kids were upset, confused. They wanted to know why. I didn't have a good answer, not one they'd understand. I just told them I was sorry, that it wasn't their fault, that sometimes people grow apart. Robert didn't talk to me for 2 years. Patricia cried on the phone and asked what she'd done wrong, and I carried that guilt. Still do, but I also knew I couldn't live that way anymore. I moved into a small apartment across town, quit my job at the insurance company, took what savings I had and bought a plane ticket to Europe. I'd never been on a plane before. I landed in London in the spring of 1980. Walked around for hours. Just walked, looked at buildings, listened to people talk, ate food I'd never tasted. And for the first time in 40 years, I felt awake. I spent 6 months traveling. England, France, Italy, Spain. I stayed in cheap hostels, ate bread and cheese, slept on trains. I met people from all over the world, had conversations that lasted until sunrise. I stood in front of paintings I'd only seen in books. I watched the sun come up over the Mediterranean, and I cried. Not because I was sad, because I'd spent 40 years believing this wasn't allowed. That life was supposed to be small and controlled and predictable. That wanting more was selfish. But it wasn't selfish. It was human. When I came back to the States, I didn't go back to Ohio. I moved to Colorado, Boulder, got a job at a bookstore, didn't pay much, but I didn't need much. I rented a little studio apartment with a view of the mountains, started painting again, bought cheap supplies and painted every night after work. I wasn't good at first, but I got better. I took a writing class at the community college, started keeping journals. I hiked, I read, I went to lectures and concerts and art shows. I met a woman named Claire at a pottery class. She was 43, divorced, had 2 kids of her own. She'd spent her whole life doing what everyone else wanted to. We started talking, then having coffee, then dinner, and it was different than it had been with Helen because we actually knew each other. We talked about everything, our fears, our regrets, what we wanted from life. We didn't get married, didn't see the point, but we spent 18 years together, traveling, creating, laughing. She taught me to throw pottery. I taught her to paint. We took trips whenever we could afford it. Mexico, Canada, back to Europe. We didn't have much money, but we had time, and we used it. Claire died in 1998. Heart attack. She was 61. I was devastated, but I wasn't bitter because we'd had 18 real years together, not 40 years of silence. After she died, I kept going. I kept painting, kept traveling, kept meeting people. I volunteered at the library, taught art classes to kids. I reconnected with my children. Slowly. Robert came to visit eventually. We went hiking, talked. He told me he understood now, that he felt trapped in his own marriage, that seeing me choose myself had given him permission to do the same. Patricia took longer, but she came around too. She told me she'd been angry for years, but that watching me live honestly had changed something in her, that she'd stopped trying to be perfect, started asking for what she wanted. I have grandchildren now, 4 of them. They know me as the grandpa who paints, who tells stories about sleeping on trains in Italy, who still goes hiking at 86. Not the grandpa who sat silent at the dinner table. I'm not saying what I did was right. I hurt people, disappointed people. My ex-wife Helen remarried. She seems happy. I hope she is, but I don't regret leaving. Because the alternative was dying while still breathing. The alternative was spending another 46 years pretending, and I couldn't do it. I know some people will judge that, will say I was selfish, irresponsible, and maybe I was, but I also know that the first 40 years of my life don't feel like mine. They feel like a sentence I was serving. And the last 46 years, they've been mine. Every single day of them. I've lived in 7 different cities, visited 23 countries. I've painted over 300 canvases, written 40 journals. I've had friendships that mattered, conversations that changed me. I've stood on mountains and beaches and city streets at midnight and felt completely alive. And yeah, I'm alone now. Claire's gone. My kids have their own lives. I live in a small apartment in Denver. I don't have much, but I wake up every morning and I'm grateful because I know what the alternative was. I know what it feels like to be alive and dead at the same time. If you're 30, 40, 50, and you feel trapped, I need you to hear this. It's not too late. It's never too late. People will tell you that you can't start over, that you've made your choices, that this is just how life is, but that's a lie. You can leave the job that's crushing you. You can end the relationship that's making you disappear. You can move. You can change. You can choose yourself. Will it be hard? Yes. Will people be hurt? Probably. Will you feel guilty? Absolutely. But the question you have to ask is this: what's the cost of staying? What's the cost of spending the next 20, 30, 40 years pretending? Of dying without ever really living? I can't answer that for you, but I can tell you what it cost me. It cost me 40 years. And I'm lucky I figured it out when I did. Some people never do. They die at 80, 90, never having lived a single day that felt true. And that's the real tragedy. Not death, but a life unlived. I'm 86 years old. And if I die tomorrow, I'll die knowing I tried. I saw the world. I created things. I loved honestly. I didn't do everything right, but I did it awake. And that's all any of us can hope for. Your best life isn't waiting for retirement. It's waiting for you to decide it starts now.